Alert.
9 o'clock the time. Meteorologist Dave Nussbaum here. We are back with a tornado warning again for part of Sumter and now Greene counties here in our viewing area, and that's for this intense storm coming out here in Mississippi. That is there back in Kemper County, Mississippi, but the new tornado warning till 10 a.m. here for Sumter and also into Greene counties. This goes till 10 o'clock our time here. Utah, you're in the path of this. I know you've had enough of these tornadoes lately, but definitely we need to watch that one as it continues to come out there. Mississippi, pretty intense rotation showing up there with that storm. Can't miss that one at all, too. Looking at the latest radar with that, it's going to be embedded in this storm as well, too. So, again, just like the one we saw in northern Winston County, this will likely be a rain-wrapped tornado with that storm. Looking at the latest debris track, it's pretty far from the radar, so hard to tell if there's going to be some debris. No confirmation yet of a tornado with that storm there, but it's quite a bit of ways, giving you a significant lead time here there for Sumter County, back over toward parts there of Greene counties with that storm. But, again, looking at the velocity, you can see that is a tight rotation. It's likely we probably have a tornado in there in parts there of the Mississippi area. So it is quite a far away. We're going to be watching this one for a while here, but as it continues to move, it's going to be moving fairly quickly. These storms have been really moving fast. That was the latest update, kind of giving you an idea here of where that's going here. This is going to be Scuba, Mississippi at 9:20, Geiger there at 9:30, but the storm has been kind of fairly quickly as it works its way there off to the northeast. So we'll go ahead and take that one off for you and show you what we do have here for us locally. Nothing yet in Sumter, nothing yet in Greene. It's coming to you. We have a significant lead time on that storm that's coming out of Mississippi there and moving fairly quickly at this point, and we'll continue to track that one here for you and show you what's going on. But the radar does show, hard to tell what we're looking at, but it's right in through here. That's where that circulation is located. Now, it's not yet in Alabama, but that storm has been pretty persistent. The Weather Service in Birmingham has been watching it, too, and with that much of a tight rotation within a strong circulation, that does give us a good sign that this system is likely going to persist and continue on its track here, just kind of not far from there, from the Kipling part of Mississippi back to Mount Nebo. Again, this is in Mississippi, so you're probably thinking, why are we watching this one here? It's not even Alabama yet. Well, it's been pretty persistent, and it's likely we do have a tornado there crossing over Highway 45 near Scuba, and then it'll work its way on into parts there of northern Sumter County and eventually on into parts there of central Greene County, northern Greene County. Here's Interstate 20. So this is north of I-20. We'll stay north of I-20, likely impacting eventually the Gainesville area there, possibly Bowling Green, possibly Utah, depending on exact track it takes once it gets here into the Alabama area. So it's still a far, far away, so you have plenty of time to get to the safe shelters out there. If we have the tornado watch, the shelters should be open. There's a tornado warning again for parts there of northern Sumter and Greene counties here. This goes until 10 o'clock this morning, so we have got plenty of lead time. It's only 9:03 right now with this storm there back into Mississippi. Fortunately, though, that's the only one we're watching with that tornado warning on it. There are some stronger storms through Pickens County, through Reform area back to Carrollton, Aliceville area, back toward Fayette, Jasper, Double Springs. Heavy rain continues to fall, maybe some gusty winds. Now remember, out ahead of this, I talked about this morning, we're going to see some strong winds coming on in. Winds sustained 10 to 20, gusting to maybe as high as 40 miles per hour outside of the thunderstorms on either side of this line. Now this line is it. This is all we're going to see today, but it may only rain for 30 minutes, 45 minutes at your home, but we could have some rough storms as it moves through the area here too, kind of giving you an idea of the motion with these storms. You can see here as they work their way to Gardendale, just some light rain coming in right now, but we'll continue watching them working the way closer and closer to us here, if we can get this storm to move. But at this point, that's where it's going to be coming on into, and if it holds together, potentially could go further, closer into the viewing area. Now, that's too far off to watch at this point, but definitely need to be continuing to watch that storm. Again, the debris tracker, it's likely possibly have some debris tied in with the tornado here. This is kind of far from the Columbus radar and the Jackson, Mississippi radar as well, too. I'll see if I can see it any better on the Jackson radar. But at this point, though, it looks like we still have, again, this pretty strong rotation tied in with that one here. And looking at that debris tracker as well, yeah, it's just too far to see here right now. That storm right there is what we're looking at as well. So nonetheless, though, we're still going to keep a close eye on this here. The best radar for us to look at there is, of course, Columbus, Mississippi. And that's we've seen, again, that pretty in tight rotation. This is pretty impressive looking, and it's pretty far from the radar. Again, that's north up there in Columbus, Mississippi, and that's where we're watching here, about to cross over Highway 45, Scuba, Mississippi, if you're familiar with that area there. Again, here in parts there of Mississippi. This is Kemper County here. We do have a Meridian just to the south there, of course, but eventually we're going to see this crossing into Sumter and Greene counties with that tornado warning till 1 o'clock, or rather 10 o'clock this morning. We do have a tornado watch for everybody here that does go until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So one thing we're definitely keep an eye on is the threat for tornadoes across all of the area here. So it's going to continue and last here for a while. So we do have much of the rest of the morning to watch this into lunchtime today. If you have to be out and about for lunch, that's about when these storms will be rolling the way through the Birmingham area. So just keep that in mind. We will see them moving on in as we go forward here. But at this point, though, Metro Birmingham, we're just looking at some rain showers coming through. Nothing significant here, nothing significant really to the Warrior area back to Kimberly. You get over there toward parts there of Walker County and into southern Winston County, Fayette County. Heavy rain continues to fall here. Pea Ridge area back toward Berry. Pretty heavy rain continues to fall for you. Oakman area about to get some of that heavy rain. To the Alta area there at Sandtown, we'll get some of that rain as well and continue building its way southward. So we'll continue watching this line as it moves on in, but nothing severe yet here with any of these storms. We're still watching them continuing to build their way here through parts there, also into Pickens County. And see Aliceville, heavy rain continues to move on in at this point, back toward Reform, Highway 82 corridor, Highway 69 there, Highway 43, we'll be watching that in Tuscaloosa County. South of Aliceville, pretty heavy rain, no tornado warning for you at this point, which is good, but just to your south, that's that track that storm will take as it works its way closer there, coming just south of DeKalb, Mississippi, back to Scuba. And again, this is way in Mississippi still, so we're still ways off here. But the Weather Service, my thinking as well too, is that strong rotation showing up there with this just south of DeKalb. That is where we have that likely a tornado here. When you see rotation that intense, it's likely going to be crossing over Highway 45, going up right near Scuba, Mississippi area there, heading over eventually towards, say, Gainesville. This is also north of Interstate 20. There you see Livingston and York, I-20 just to the south. So it's north of Meridian here, south of Macon, Mississippi. You'll go likely just south of the Aliceville area, potentially Utah. Be in your safe place. This is something you definitely need to watch. I know we had a tornado not that long ago. Potentially you could see another one coming up your way too. So that potential is there today as that storm comes out of Mississippi. Again, showing pretty impressive rotation with it as well too. Even here on the storm relative, you can see when you have your reds and greens that close together, that is what we're looking at here. And that's where you do have your tornado. When they're spread apart, you have what's called a kind of broad or wide rotation. When they're right smack dab next to each other, that's that strong rotation. So that's indeed what we have here with this storm south of DeKalb, southwest of Scuba, Mississippi here. And here is the state line. So this is Mississippi, this is Alabama, of course. There's Highway 45, big corridor there. And that line, storm will cross right over 45 shortly, heading into parts there of northern Sumter County, and then on its way on into parts there of northern Greene County. Hopefully it weakens a little bit, but the thing is down here we do have a pretty good chance for storms to continue that rotation. It's very unstable air we have in place here. We have a lot of wind shear out there. And not just wind shear in one direction, it's changing direction. At the surface it's out of the south as you go up to the southwest, and eventually further north you go to the west, and that wind shear causes that turning. The storms veer when that happens, and that allows the storms to grow up to start turning, and as they do so, that's where they can rotate. That's where they possibly could produce maybe a tornado or two as well too. So we're still watching that one at this point. Further to the north now, just getting alert here, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for the storms we were watching here in parts of Walker County. Again, this is just a severe thunderstorm warning here coming from Carbon Hill back to the Jasper area. If you're watching us there, southern part or southeastern part there of Winston County. Earlier, Winston County did have that confirmed tornado, at least via Doppler radar, coming from the just north of Double Springs, south of Haleyville area there. So that storm is well off to the north. But this one here, pretty intense winds coming from this one, going to be working its way into Jasper. If you're watching us there from Carbon Hill, it just came through your area to Nauvoo, heading toward Jasper along I-22. eventually Cordova. You also could feel the impacts of this. Let's look at some of the wind shear with this one. You can see here, to keep an eye on it, it's more likely straight line winds tied in with this at this point, but still enough to knock down trees, some power lines, power outages in Walker County here, southern part of Winston County as well too, and it kind of stretches its way down close to the parts of Fayette County there near the Berry area. So again, if you're watching us in Jasper to Oakman area, points to the north, this line is going to be moving its way into your region here soon. Heavy rain, gusty winds with it as well too. Let me see if there's any rotations showing up with this one at this point. Not seeing really much, kind of more of a straight line wind situation with this one here, but nonetheless though, we'll still keep an eye on that for you here as we go on in. We're not seeing that tight rotation, possibly a little bit trying to show up. But at this point, though, again, it's more of that straight line winds we're looking at with this. Maybe some hail mixed in with that heavy rain here as it works its way across here of northern part there of Walker County, part of Winston County as well, too, and kind of heading its way to near the Coleman County area. May see a little bit of this as it works its way there just to the north here of Summerton. We'll likely get some heavy rain, Jasper, for you coming in. Pretty gusty winds heading your way toward Cordova, coming just past the Carbon Hill area. The main reason why we're on, though, is still that tornado warning for parts there of Greene County and Sumter counties. And this is the storm we've been watching here coming out of Mississippi. This is a significant lead time on these storms coming out there of Mississippi. And the reason why is you'll see here, again, intense rotation here with this thunderstorm coming in. Radar's up to the north in Columbus. You got your reds going reds out and green inbound colors, and you get that counterclockwise circulation going. And that's what we have to keep an eye on as well, too. Have a little tornado warning just to the north there in Noxubee County. That storm does not look as intense as the one further to the south. It's likely the southern storm is robbing that one of its energy. That's usually what happens there. We can't have two strong storms like that right that close together. One will dominate and the other one will be weakening. So this one here, it's still, again, moving pretty quickly here. See if we can get some storm tracks to show up on here with this one yet, but it's still pretty far out for us now. But again, kind of giving an idea here with this one. Again, it looks its way toward Gainesville there. This would be a northern part there, kind of right along the Sumter County and into parts there of Greene County around 9:38. Currently it's 9:11, so plenty of time to watch this one. We'll continue on that track there as it moves its way further off into parts there, crossing over the state line of Mississippi on into Alabama with that storm. So that one is still pretty intense. We'll still continue to watch that one to see if we'll continue to try to produce a tornado. At this point, though, nothing's been confirmed with it. It has some strong rotation. It's kind of in that zone here, parts of Mississippi and Alabama, where there's kind of a far enough away from the radar, it's hard to see. The radar beam kind of overshoots the storms as the curvature of the earth happens. The radar beam, of course, goes straight, and that allows us not to be able to see what's really happening at the lowest levels of the atmosphere there. But if we have this much rotation up aloft, it's likely we have something trying to get its way down to the surface. We have favorable conditions. There are not any storms here south of us, and so that's allowing us to be able to deal with, again, these storms kind of been persisting here. And this is it. This is the only line of storms we're seeing today. It's not going to be an all-day severe weather event, but it could be a rough one out there. Yesterday, the tornado threat was low. It increased overnight tonight, last night into this morning, as more straight southerly winds have come in versus originally thinking the winds would kind of parallel to the front and not showing as much circulation with the storms. But indeed, that has changed at this point. So right now, though, here in Birmingham, we are just looking at some of the rain showers out there. I'll go ahead and switch to the Birmingham radar, kind of giving a different perspective of what we're looking at. Again, northern part of Jefferson County, getting some showers out there. Warrior area back to Gardendale, some rain headed back towards Summerton, Cordova, Sipsey, watching some pretty good downpours coming on in. Let's see if I can see here what we have going on in the Summerton area right now. And you can see here we are looking at pretty good rain just off the distance. This is looking to the east. The storms are behind the camera coming on in. So we're going to see this continuing to kind of work its way back there in that direction. So with that in mind, we'll still be watching these storms here moving through. But Ashley, you have a little bit of an update there for us.
Yeah, and we also have a severe thunderstorm warning now for Walker County, and we're not taking our attention away from where the tornadoes warnings are occurring right now. But I do want to point out that some significant rainfall and some very strong winds are now moving through Walker County, including the city of Jasper. This stretch stretches up towards Coleman. Although the severe thunderstorm warning does not include Coleman County, it's moving in that direction. Also, this is along Highway 278 there in Winston County. So from Double Springs over towards Addison and Arley, you're getting some very strong, severe wind gusts right now. Northern Walker, southern Winston County. This is going to be moving towards Coleman County. These storms are moving quickly this morning. We really emphasized that this day would be front-loaded with the severe storms. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. So bear in mind that, again, we're tracking the main kind of rotating storms right now in northern Greene County and northern Sumter County, and kind of a dead zone as far as our radar goes. So we really have to kind of dig in deep to our radar analysis here, because we have these beams of the radar reaching so high into the atmosphere, we can't fully analyze what's going on in about the lower 10,000 feet. A lot of these storms are actually going to be produced in the lower levels. These are not typical springtime thunderstorms that are 30 and 40,000 feet in height. So we have to really kind of dig down deep in the lower levels of the atmosphere. What we have going on today is this very strong lower level jet. So that's winds that are moving in, and essentially you've got an updraft or this energy that's lifting up the atmosphere, and it bends that air mass. So as that lower level jet's moving by, it begins to spin. So a lot of these storms are spinning up quickly. And again, as Dave Nussbaum has been mentioning, we're getting a very good lead time on this storm. These types of storms don't always produce a generous amount of warning time. Simply just the nature of tornadoes, of these particular tornadoes. Not all tornadoes are created equally. So just keep that in mind as well. But we want to encourage you, if you're on I-20 anywhere north of Livingston towards Utah, just outside of Tuscaloosa. I do think that this particular storm is going to be south of the city of Tuscaloosa, but I would heed warning. I would just definitely be very vigilant if you're in southern Tuscaloosa County, because this line of thunderstorms is moving in your direction, and I'm actually watching just a couple of appendages on that line that are of interest to me, one of those moving into Tuscaloosa County right now. But again, let's focus on the northern part of Greene County. That's where we're going to want you to get to your safe place. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get to the lowest level of that house or structure, and try to get out of a mobile home or any type of manufactured structure. We want you to be in a site-built location. It doesn't mean it has to have a basement, but get to that interior room. Try to get to a bathroom or a closet, somewhere without too many windows. All right, so that's what we're looking at as far as the storm. This line of thunderstorms currently pressing near that I-20 corridor, not quite reaching it just yet, but moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Let's zoom in there. That's where that storm is, near Scuba. So that's back in Scuba, Mississippi, where that current storm system is, as we're tracking that moving off to the north and to the east. Here's where we expect it to be in the next hour, crossing over I-20. So it will be reaching the city of Utah. Heavy rain in Tuscaloosa in the next 60 minutes. Vance and then western, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the Walker and Winston. And Dave, I'll actually let you take this from the key, since you do have hand tracker over there, but we do have a confirmed tornado warning in Walker County at this time. So what we were just tracking was a severe thunderstorm warning. It has now been upgraded to a tornado warning. Again, these storms are just spinning like little tops in the atmosphere right now. So we essentially have two areas of interest, one of those being Greene County and now Walker County. So Dave, we'll send it over to you.
All right, Ashley, yeah, that's right. This is the storm here, kind of northern part of Walker County. This is north of Jasper. We're watching here, kind of working its way the parts there of far southeastern Winston County right now. Right along here, just south of the Arley area there, and that's the storm we're continuing to see here. You can see it's kind of embedded with the rain, kind of the little appendage Ashley was just talking about, kind of moving its way through the region here. That tornado warning in effect till 9:45 this morning here. Again, for northern Walker County, kind of southeastern part there of Winston County. Again, it goes till 9:45 this morning. Again, the storm is likely, if it's producing a tornado, it's going to be kind of rain wrapped in there. Going to be hard to tell, but it's right in this location here as where we're watching here. So you can see kind of just south of Arley, south of Falls City, Curry areas where we're talking sunlight, or you're talking about you. You need to be in your safe place right now as the storm continues in that state route 257. Big Bird Farm area there is what we're talking about here, kind of north of Curry toward the Marley area and Lakeshore subdivision. So this location right in through here is where we're continuing to watch here, kind of south of the Falls City area. That's where we do have that tornado warning continue to kind of work its way into the region here. In that same area, that's that heavy rain just right in through here. There's probably some hail mixed in as well too, with strong winds. Speaking of winds, let's go ahead and take a look here at some of that wind shear and see if I can get that to pop up. And again, it's right in through there. This is the area we're watching here that would have some of those strong winds. It's a small little area for this tornado warning here, but still watching in northern part of Walker County, north of Burroughs Crossroad, Sunlight, Curry area need to be in your safe place. Mary Lee area as well is in the Lakeshore subdivision, and it's headed its way there toward the Ardell area. Again, this is not including Marigold or Manchester, not in this, but a State Route 257 is right where that strongest winds are tied in with the storm here, and seen enough rotation for this to continue its track here off there to the northeast, and kind of giving a better perspective of what we're looking at with this one, where the circulation is kind of mixed in right here. Not as strong as the circulation of what we're seeing coming out near Scuba, Mississippi at this point, but still looking at a little bit kind of working its way into the area here. So if you're watching us there, Sunlight, Curry, Mary Lee area there, Lakeshore subdivision need to be in your safe place. The storms are moving fairly quickly this morning, 40, 50 miles per hour or so, and as they do so, can produce, again, possibly a tornado. I'm not really seeing anything too much really showing up on the debris tracker yet, kind of messy situation here with this, but nonetheless, though, again, looking at the wind shear, kind of gives you an idea where the strongest part of the winds are, and that's right here, right along the highway there, 257. So we're still watching this one. Again, Curry, Sunlight area, Mary Lee. This is where we're looking at, northern part of Walker County with that here. And it looks like they may have just canceled that tornado warning, actually, as a matter of fact, as well, too. So when probably a quick little spin up, you're going to see some intense rain, likely some hail here. No longer a tornado threat for you, so if you went to your safe place, you can get out. However, do know we still can see 40, 60 mile per hour winds. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this area as well, too. And that storm's kind of just from Jasper northward here. Intense storm coming through northern part of Walker County, southeastern part of Winston County. This is going to produce gusty winds, 60 miles per hour, likely very heavy rain, and we're also talking about the threat for some hail as well. New severe thunderstorm warning just popping up now for Coleman County. It's for that same storm. Again, still produce some gusty winds on the leading edge of it. Sometime you can get a quick little spin up out there, and that may be what originally we saw briefly on the radar, but that's where we're seeing, at least at this point, severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 in the morning. So still watching those pretty quickly here this morning as well, too. So going with that in mind, we're going to zoom back out and go back to our other tornado warning. That is down here, just coming out of Mississippi. It's right on the state line here. Ashley was just talking about this a second ago. This storm is pretty intense. Easier to see here when I show you kind of the velocity products of it. You get your red and green right next to each other like that. That is some strong rotation showing up now. And you can see, looking at that from another perspective here, we have that right hugging the state line. It's just now crossing on into Sumter County. And again, that shear rate with a pretty strong rate where the storm is, and it's still kind of hard to see if there's any debris tied in with it. It's pretty far from the radar here, so there could be some that's possibly lofted way high enough, but the radar is way up in Columbus, Mississippi is the closest radar to this one, so we're still going to be watching that. That goes till 10 a.m. The best way to track this one, though, is definitely looking at the velocity products, and it is hugging here, that state line. They're basically coming right south of Scuba, or southeast of Scuba now, heading over toward the Sledge area. Geiger, if you're watching us there, again, this is where we're talking about, coming right on into Alabama now from Mississippi. The storm is just right there. Road side of the rotation is in Alabama. The other side of the rotation is here in Mississippi. So Highway 17 is right here. Highway 30 is right here. Again, Interstate 20 coming up here from the southwest, headed toward the Lizzieville area. We'll be watching that one. So the storm is going to be kind of working its way on in toward parts there of Alabama here momentarily. Again, the rotation right on the state line. So Hammer, Sumterville, Sledge, safe place now. That's where you need to be at this point. If you're watching us from south of I-20 there in Sumter County to Greene County area, at the moment this is going to stay just north of that. You can see now storm has now moved into Sumter County here in Alabama and will continue on that track toward Gainesville, potentially Bolagie, and yes, potentially Utah. Be prepared again. I know you've been hit by a few tornadoes in the last 2 years. This possibly could be another one we're watching here as it continues on that track there off to the northeast, and a pretty good circulation, a pretty good clip with this one as well too. Again, the storm will likely be rain wrapped here, so we're not going to be able to see this, not going to have that clear base sometimes we see with these tornadoes. But nonetheless, though, again, some of that wind shear is pretty strong with this one, and you can see here there's that storm kind of just coming on in. Again, it's pretty far from the radar here, so we're not getting a really good, clean picture of it. We just know that what we can see does show pretty intense circulation, at least in the mid-levels of the thunderstorm, and that does include, again, some of that rotation here. So again, looking at the debris tracker, it's possible maybe something right here trying to develop at this point. Again, it's hard to tell when you're this far from the radar what we have, but this is the state line right there. We're now in all of Alabama. This is in northern part of Sumter County here, north central, I should say. There's Livingston. Livingston, you're going to be fine. It's going to stay there north of you, but crossing its way here over toward Gainesville. If you're watching us in Gainesville, I want to keep an eye on that one here. That potentially is where we're going to see that tornado moving on in. Looking back at the velocity here, again, there you see that pretty tight circulation showing up. Another vantage point of that as well too, seeing it right here kind of crossing into the state line here of now Alabama. Highway 30 is where it's going to be crossing, which is right here to the north. You can see here through the Sledge area back toward Hammer. Here's Highway 17. This is where it's crossing over right now. It should be right over top of the Sledge, Hammer, Sumterville. Safe place. Now, this is likely a tornado. We have not had a report of one yet, but it's been a persistent rotation, at least for probably last hour back into Mississippi out there. So we're waiting to see if we get any reports of damage in Mississippi here. But when you have your reds and greens that tight, you likely have a circulation that's pretty impressive, and likely a tornado at that point as well too here. And it's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be somewhere in here. So here's 17. It's right on top of Highway 17, headed toward the Hamner area there. And you can see here, looking at debris tracker, possibly somewhere in here, maybe a tornado sledge. Again, Hamner area back over towards Sumterville, be in your safe place. It's hard to tell. Again, we're pretty far from the radar with this one, where it's going to be. We gave you a big lead time with this too, so that's good news. We're able to see this one, how strong their circulation was. Looks like the circulation is just to the north there, so that's where it would be, just about on top of Highway 17. Again, here kind of in northern part of Sumter County. Eventually heading its way possibly toward Gainesville, possibly toward the Crawford Fork area there. Leesville, Allison, Bolagie, you all need to watch this. And yes, Utah, you need to keep an eye on it too. This is Interstate 20. Here's Highway 11, kind of paralleling it, both of those areas. You need to keep a close eye on this in northern Greene County. Michael?
Well, we're continuing to monitor the National Weather Service chat. I'm looking at Jackson because Kemper County, where this tornado warning has been issued, coming into West Alabama. No reports of damage as of right now, so that's some good news. But this is a fairly rural area. But still, if you live in Gainesville, Sumter County, into Greene County, you need to be in your safe place now. That's along and east of Highway 17. You have a Sledge back over toward Hamner, Gainesville, Crawford Lake. Now, this is north of Livingston, but still, we don't want you traveling north of Livingston and in the northern part of Sumter or Greene counties. It's not a good idea to travel along Interstate 59 and 20 throughout that western part of Alabama. Checking out on the latest from the National Weather Service here in Birmingham, checking out the latest. They're talking the latest information coming in here. And one thing we want to remind you, they are advising strongly to be very careful with the early dismissals of school today. If you're planning to do that, due to the nature of these storms, they're moving very quickly, and it's possible the bus routes will not be able to materialize or to happen before the storms move in your direction. So it's better to, in many locations, just keep that in mind, especially over the eastern part of Alabama. They mentioned Talladega County back out to the west. It's very possible you will not have time to get those kids home if you're planning an early dismissal. If you're centered along and west of Interstate 65, it's better to shelter in place. Now, some good news that I will mention to you. I've been looking over some of the latest model data coming in, the analysis of the atmosphere for the rest of the day. And while we will continue to maintain a severe weather threat, it does appear that the overall threat, the tornado threat, will slowly and gradually decrease over the coming hours into this afternoon. But still there. And that's the reason we have this tornado watch continuing for much of central Alabama throughout this afternoon. The early part of the afternoon, it's possible that could be extended. At the very least, these storms will be capable of producing damaging straight-line wind. So please just treat this very carefully. Looking at the latest now coming from the National Weather Service, we are monitoring their information very carefully, they're still seeing strong rotation moving over a mill, and it seems to be better organized than when it was in Mississippi. So even though we do not have any damage reports as of now coming out of Kemper County, Mississippi, we are noting that this thing is strengthening a bit as it crosses into Sumter County. So that's the reason Sumter County, Gainesville, and then into Greene County, Clinton, Utah, Bolaji. Go ahead and go through your tornado safety plan right now. That's the smallest room of any structure you were located in, lowest floor, and away from all windows. This storm is very serious. It's tightening up, and we could very well have a tornado on the ground at some point in Sumter or Greene counties.
And Michael, I'll take it from here real quick. So I want to show you our future scan. Right now, it looks like over the next hour, most of these storms are expected to move across Interstate 20. Yesterday, we were forecasting these storms approaching the Birmingham metro at around noon. It could be a little bit before that as the speed of these storms are increasing. We want to get this messaging out right now. I'm getting lots of text messages right now from local schools. That's great. Asking what should we do? Should we release early? And we really lean heavily on our emergency managers and our National Weather Service partners to help us formulate that plan. The biggest thing with this event today is that these storms are going to move through quickly. This is not a marathon day as we saw with our last severe weather event where it was rounds upon rounds upon rounds of active weather. This is not that. This is a singular line of storms, but they are going to spin up these tornadoes. And I don't use the word spin up as just to be taken lightly, but literally there is enough spin in the atmosphere, and these will spin up quickly, and that will not give us as much time to give you those warnings. So it's very important that it's really just, quite frankly, safer to be at your building, and these should move out through the middle of the day and the early afternoon while most students are in school, while most of us are working. We should be safe in our buildings that we're in. But we just want to encourage you to have a secondary plan if you are in any type of manufactured type building or home. Let me quickly revisit our current watches and warnings. So these are our tornado watches. Remember, all of the counties highlighted in yellow, that would indicate where we have a watch. This means the conditions are favorable for storm development. It does not mean that the danger is imminent. Now, a warning means that the danger is imminent and you need to take action immediately. So right now, we have tornado watches across our viewing area, all those counties highlighted in yellow. Now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning again in northern Walker, and just as we had kind of projected a few minutes ago, this is now moving into Coleman County. So the polygons that are blinking in orange there, those are your severe thunderstorm warnings. Winds exceeding 58 miles per hour. Some small hail could be developing in this. And actually, I see, I think is that a debris signature on the...
They're saying, Ashley, that it could be...
Okay.
They're right along County 20, Sumterville.
Okay.
We should see here if it continues.
So that's northern Sumter County. So I'll let Dave continue to analyze that. Dave, if anything pops up, just feel free to cut in and interrupt me here. But just kind of quickly highlighting the remainder of our afternoon so those ahead of the line can prepare accordingly. We do have an upgraded risk area. So yesterday we were in that slight risk on a scale of 1 to 5. We were at a 2. Today, most of central and east Alabama has been upgraded to a level 3 of 5. We call it an enhanced risk. Don't get too married to the colors on your screen. Just know that when we upgrade from a slight to an enhanced, that either means the ingredients come together a little bit more or our confidence increases as a result. So this is just saying, hey, these ingredients look to be a little bit better organized than they did last night, and that's why we've upgraded our threat. As the day goes on, the atmosphere will be a little bit more ripe for severe weather development. Although we're seeing storms this morning, we will have a bit better chance through central and east Alabama through the afternoon of seeing more active weather. I think our threats only will be ramping up. That doesn't necessarily mean in frequency. It just means that we need to be careful. We need to be well aware because these storms really can be produced anywhere along this line today, and it will impact our entire viewing area for this afternoon. So that's our severe weather outlook right now. All right, so Michael, if you want to click back on the radar really quickly, I think I'm out of frames here. So that's our tornado watch, but we'll go back to our radar really quickly. And what I want to show you is where our tornado warning currently is, moving out of Sumter County, moving into northern Greene County. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings to our north. And you remember how quickly that tornado warning just kind of popped up there near Winston County and northern Walker County, and it quickly went away. This storm, unlike that, is holding together much better in northern Greene County. So what we're looking for right now, we're really having to get down deep into some of the layers of the atmosphere, because we have to look for not only what this is called reflectivity, not only what's being reflected back by this radar beam, but we also have to look at any of these features. Now, I will say in the last scan, not quite as impressive, but I'm looking for bowing features, I'm looking for notching. It's kind of thinned out just a little bit in this, kind of elongated, I should say, a little bit more in this last run. But where you're seeing these brighter pinks and purples on the screen, that could actually indicate maybe even some small hail, which would also correspond with a stronger updraft, and those stronger updrafts could produce those tornadoes. So we want to treat this as if there is a tornado on the ground, although we have not had full confirmation of that. Although in this last scan, it does look like maybe a small little inflow notch is attempting to form. You can kind of see where that purple split apart just a little bit on your screen near Hamner. They are. Okay, so this is now a confirmed tornado based on our debris signature. Michael, I'm not sure we can turn that debris signature on really quickly. So if we can, take a quick look at our debris there. So we'll click on, yep, right there. And then we'll click on our debris signature. And what we'll be able to do is be able to show you exactly where that is. So now our box, and this is something that's new. So just a small little piece of education for you on your Thursday morning. You'll notice the box is now purple. That is a new indicator when we have a confirmed tornado. It's called a TDS, so tornado debris signature. And right there over Gainesville, you can see that between Hamner and Gainesville. See this green dot on your screen? That little pixel right there indicates the debris. And because of the location between Hamner and Gainesville right now, that's why we want to make sure you're getting to your safe place. So the debris, the way that this works is we have a tornado that touches down. It literally is spinning up debris. It could be tree limbs, it could be parts of rooftops, and it's lofting that debris into the atmosphere. And this is actually coming back to our radar, and it's saying, hey, there's something that shouldn't be there, and it gives it a color. And so now we're able to discern anytime we start to see these bright yellows, the greens, and really those blues on the map. That's a very good indicator for us that there is in fact debris in the air. The only way to really do that is by having a tornado. So we confirm that tornado. That's where the red box turns to purple. And this storm system right now is going to be moving straight towards Bolaji, Allison, Utah, and go ahead and get to your safe place right now anywhere along I-20. And we'll go ahead and send it over to Dave in the Weather Center. Dave?
All right, Ashley, looking at the time frame for this storm you were just talking about, there again is our tornado showing up on the Doppler radar now. Gainesville, 9:43 for you, 9:50 Bolaji, Mount Hebron, 9:50 Clinton, around 9:56 in Utah. Could get to you by 10 o'clock this morning, so that's a big lead time. Right now it's 9:36 is our current time you see up there. Again, this is where we're talking about with that storm kind of working its way here, not too far away from the Hamner area, so that's kind of where we're continuing to watch that one particular storm for us. Confirmed tornado. Again, this is what we're talking about right in through here. This is the area we're watching kind of just near the Gainesville area there and continue toward Crawford Fork and then eventually on its way potentially here on into Greene County, of course, and then maybe over toward the Utah area. Utah, I know you know tornadoes, unfortunately, way too well here, and this could be another one heading right to your neighborhood, so get ready. Need to be in your safe place now across all this part of Greene County here. This is going to be crossing potentially over Interstate 20, Highway 11 there over toward the Utah area as well, too. So let me go ahead and turn these off and kind of show you here real quick what we're looking at with respect to that storm. Again, it's very intense. Again, the storm is showing that we do have that rotation showing up right in through this area here. That would be the debris signature showing up now on the radar, of course, and that's where we're going to continue seeing that. moving forward here. So let me go ahead and show you a little motion on this one and give you an idea here. That storm kind of coming up the Hamner area there and then kind of working its way just south of Gainesville now is where we're going to continue watching that track its way here. Still in Sumter County, about to cross over the Tom Bigby there, heading on into Greene County. So Crawford Fork, you are another one that we have to keep a close eye on. It's going to be coming closely to your area as well too here. Here's Gainesville. That is where the storm is going to be located. So maybe moving just immediately south of the Gainesville area there. That's state highway route right there from Gainesville, 39. And then here you can see here's Interstate 20. Here's Highway 11, kind of giving vantage point. If you're watching us there right now, there's Sumter. Let's see, that is going to be Sumter County Road 24, Wedges Dow Road there to the south. Again, this is where that tornado is. So crossing over Highway 39, State Route 39, which goes Gainesville north and south. Looks like the storm coming really close to Gainesville. If you're watching us just south of there, if you can get us over in Sumter County. But this is heading right toward Crawford Fork, Lizzieville, Allison, Bolagie. Take shelter now. Utah, take shelter now too. This is a confirmed tornado by the Doppler radar right here. This is where we are talking about. There you see it's kind of right just south of Gainesville along Highway 39 now. We'll continue moving. When you see this, this is like a snapshot of where the Doppler radar does. Remember, it spins around, and by the time it comes back around, the tornado is moving. Remember, this is moving at 50 miles per hour, so it won't take long to cross over the Tom Bigby here and heading on into Greene County. We've been tracking this one since before 9 o'clock this morning and still watching this one now. Again, the Doppler radar confirming here we do have that tornado just south of the Gainesville area. So this is where we're going to be continuing to watch this one. This is it right here. Now going back to velocity products just to show you an idea of that rotation with it, you can see here this is where it is, kind of just south of Gainesville. That purple color you see here, that's confirmed tornado warning. We go from red to purple when that happens. Another perspective of what we have there, again, with that rotation. Looking at that shear rate still, again, don't see that classic S shape with this like we see, but again, you have to understand this is far from the radar. Radar's up in Columbus, Mississippi at the Air Force Base up there. So this is far enough away, so it is picking up debris here that's really lofted high into the air. So again, if that's moving that high, you have a strong updraft to take all that debris, whether it be leaves or trees or something else, and lofting it back into the air here. But that's been persistent. It crosses over Highway 39. That's that north to south route through the Gainesville area. Again, if you're watching us from Crawford Fork, Lizzieville area, Bolagie, you need to be in your safe place, including over in Utah. Go ahead and give this a track for you here. This is where we are talking. It's moving about 50 miles per hour, so this one's a fast mover out there. We are looking at, again, Utah around 9:58 just by 10 o'clock here. Wedgeworth around 10:04. If it holds together, Akron around 10:07 here. So that is the path that the storm has taken, moving on that easterly track there. So we'll continue watching that one as it moves on into parts there coming out of far eastern Sumter County. Again, here's your Tom Bigby waterway area there, and then eventually heading on in toward Greene County. Looking at the radar, though, it's right over top of Gainesville, just to the south of Gainesville, but it's rain wrapped, so you're not going to be able to see this. Don't look for it. Get in your safe place. Bolagie, it's coming dangerously close. This is Interstate 20 right now. You can see it's going to be right near Lizzieville. It's Interstate 20 here, Crawford Fork area. This is where it is, coming right in that direction, likely crossing Interstate 20 here, potentially as it gets closer to Utah area. Maybe points farther to the north there as well, too. So Clinton, Mount Hebron, New Mount Hebron, you need to be in your safe place. The storm is moving pretty quickly. If you're not in the path of the tornado, you'll likely still have some strong damaging winds, likely very heavy rain with this too, and potentially, of course, maybe some hail mixed in. You can see some of that magenta color. But going back here and kind of looking at the let's see if I can get it to work. There we go. The debris tracker still showing it up there. It kind of little messy situation here, but likely going to be continuing on that track as it moves through just south of the Gainesville area there. Kind of hard to tell here on the radar now. We're getting a little bit some kind of a lot going on. Remember, this is pretty far from the radar, so it's kind of hard to tell where this is. But a better way to look here is kind of looking at the velocity products, and you can see there's that circulation coming in here just south of the Gainesville area and heading its way toward Crawford Fork, Fowler, Bolagie, Allison, Utah. You need to be in this. It's about close to being right over the Tom Bigby River there and about to cross into Greene County. But again, confirmed tornado, at least through Doppler radar at this point, where we are talking about with this storm. So again, perspective does show the radar. Again, very intense storm here. Coming just south of Gainesville, that's where the circulation center is, excuse me, toward Crawford Fork, Mount Hebron, right over into your area there. Maybe crossing over Interstate 20 as you get south of Clinton. north of Allison and right over toward Utah here in Greene County. There's Knoxville to the north. You're also in that warning. Going to keep an eye on all this as well. Let me zoom out, though. That's the main storm we're watching here with a warning. Right now, no other storms here locally have a warning, which is good news, but we will have the chance of seeing a few more of these trying to pop up later today. Severe thunderstorm warning for you in Coleman County. You have heavy rain continuing to fall for you. Gusty winds around 60 miles per hour, maybe some 1-inch size, quarter-size hail falling across your area too. So we're still watching that one here, and we're going to keep an eye on that storm as it continues to work its way through parts of Coleman County, Walker County included in that as well. But the storm that we do have, that confirmed tornado warning showing up so far here over on into Greene County, right along the Greene, Sumter County line, right over the Tombigbee River, watching that storm here. And again, this is the main line here is all we've been watching. There's nothing behind it. So once this comes through, it's not really big, Ani, but it's going to produce a little bit of mean punch. We're starting to get a little rain closing in on Birmingham, but nothing severe.
And Dave, that's why a lot of school systems went ahead and said we're going to dismiss early, maybe cancel some of the classes. So we have a list for you. Let's run down that quickly. Sylacauga City Schools dismissing at 11 a.m. Talladega County Schools 11 a.m. Now in Talladega City, the city school system in Talladega, you have two different times for dismissal. Elementary schools at 11:30. So you see that first on the list there. That's Talladega City Elementary. Then the pre-K, junior, and high school, they are letting out, I think that should say 11:45 this morning instead of 1:45. If you all can check that for me. Those schools are getting out early this morning. Sylacauga City at 11, Talladega County 11, City of Talladega, they're letting their schools out starting at 11:30 this morning. Something else, too, we have a tweet from ALEA, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, and they're confirming some of the damage that we heard about earlier and you heard Dave talking about. So the Law Enforcement Agency of Alabama receiving reports of storm damage. This is in Winston County. Several roads there have downed trees, down power lines. So there's three that ALEA listed. These would be county roads in Winston County, Highway 32, Highway 81, and Highway 28. And of course, as we're watching reports from the National Weather Service, we are seeing, scattered reports of trees down and that sort of thing. So we're keeping an eye on that, and we will keep you posted as that information comes into us in the Weather Center and in the newsroom as well. Dave?
All right, Ani, well, looking at the latest here, still watching that storm. It's likely just on the Sumter, Greene County lines here, potentially right in through here. It's kind of hard to tell. It's getting a little messy based off of how far this is from the radar, but it is going to be working its way toward Crawford Fork. If you're watching us there, Lizzieville area back to Boligy, excuse me, need to keep an eye on the storm as it going to continue to work its way here further off. Ashley, could you turn on the hand tracker, if you would? As the storm continues to move on in, that's going to allow it to continue on that track and moving its way potentially here closer to Interstate 20. Here's Highway 11. Here is Utah area. So we're still watching that, but a confirmed tornado warning does go until 10 o'clock this morning here. Still watching this one. Sumter's out of it. Makes sense. It's right just now coming on into parts here of far western Greene County, right over the Tombigbee River at this point. And the latest radar here you can see does show, again, intense rain, probably some hail and heavy rain, Mount Hebron, New Mount Hebron area back to Crawford Fork, but likely right in through there. This is Lizzieville. You need to be in your safe place. Crawford Fork, Lizzieville, possible tornado coming right through your neck of the woods there. So just be careful. This is where we're definitely watching. This is Interstate 20, so it is just north of Interstate 20 now, and it's going to continue on that track there, kind of hugging or right following Interstate 20, as many storms typically do, 59-20 corridor here. That's something we'll be watching here, kind of working its way closer to Clinton, possibly over toward the Utah area there. Allison need to be in your safe place as well, too. You can see there's the update coming right through Crawford Fork to Lizzieville. Still having a hard time seeing the debris signature possibly right in this location. If you go back and look at rotation here, you can see that is where some of the rotation is, some of the strongest we have at that point. So that's where we're watching Crawford Fork, Lizzieville area there. We have the green and reds coming together. It is moving off quickly there to the northeast, and potentially here with the tornado, kind of giving you a little storm track for you here. Let's go ahead and take a look here, and it's moving quickly, about 50 miles per hour or so. So we are talking about Utah around 9:56, Akron, if it holds together, around 10:06, Stewart around 10:10, and it holds together potentially over towards Cypress around 10:13. So we will still watch that one here very closely for you as we move forward here. But that's the storm we're watching. That's the rotation, and Ashley and I will be keeping a close eye on this. Ashley, what do you got there?
Yeah, some new information just in Blount County. So we actually want to kind of move our attention north just a little bit right now. So we will continue tracking this for the time being. But we do want to point out, I want to zoom out here very quickly. I want to put reflectivity back on, and that's because the National Weather Service said to keep an eye on this particular storm. Now it's moving through Blount County and moving out of Coleman County, but they said it's going to be clipping Arab right now back towards Hanceville and Coleman. Wind speeds right now upwards of 58 miles per hour. Could have some stronger wind gusts associated with this. Let me zoom into this very quickly. Again, we do have the active tornado warning situation down to our south, but this is some new information that's just in. So from Berlin down towards Johnson's Crossings, right along Highway 31 from Coleman to Hanceville, that's where they're reporting some very strong winds at this time up towards Holly Pond along Highway 278 up through Hopewell and then Mountain View and Arab. So we're monitoring that. We want folks to know that we are watching that very closely. So we'll move our attention back down to our southern storm. But as we mentioned before, these storms are moving quickly. We already are dealing with some very heavy rainfall in Summerton. And actually, let me go to our Summerton Tower cam, because we can take a quick look at our Summerton Tower cam. Where the rain is falling, you can definitely see the heavy rainfall there. Gray skies off in the distance, wet roadways. So folks need to be very careful if you are out and about. The reason why mainly is because these storms are starting to spin and spin quickly. We're not getting a lot of lead time. Now we have on the Greene County storm. In fairness, I will say we have gotten a great amount of lead time on that storm, but the sky looks a lot like this. You're not going to see these well-defined features. Even through this, the ragged base of the clouds here, not overly impressive to me, but these are going to be rain-wrapped storms to some degree. So that's something just to be mindful of as we move through the day. All right, so collapsing that down back to our radar, let's go back to Tuscaloosa. I want to show you our Tuscaloosa tower cam quickly. We still have the tornado warning in effect for Greene County. At this time, it's not being extended into northern Hale County, just currently in Greene County. And actually, this latest scan, there's a much more impressive notch. So I'm going to skip looking at our Tuscaloosa tower cam for just a second because that notch just looks a little bit more impressive there. So let me show you what I just caught on our radar. So right over the city of Utah, if I draw this arrow, here's that inflow notch right here, and this is where we would be having spin just on the backside of the storm from Clinton back through Crawford Fork. So here's where that area of spin would be, and then if I overlay our velocity product, our storm relative velocity, look at that. That's exactly where that rotation is happening right now. Let me put on our debris tracker to see if we have any confirmation there. It's messy. Maybe some debris down towards Allison, but again, the debris does not occur exactly where the tornado is happening because the debris is lofted. It's then spun in the atmosphere in the upper levels. Now there is a warning for Tuscaloosa County. Okay, that has now been extended. We now have a warning for Tuscaloosa County. So I'm going to move back to our velocity product because this is what's incredibly impressive to me. And this is a pretty good distance. Let's see, what radar? Okay, now they've extended it to include Hale and Tuscaloosa County. Let's do this. Let me zoom out. We'll do a quick reset here. So if you are anywhere from Duncanville, now this will be south of the city of Tuscaloosa. If I show you our Tuscaloosa tower cam, currently rain is starting to move into Tuscaloosa, very heavy rainfall, but the city of Tuscaloosa, the University of Alabama, not under the warning, but that does not mean to let your guard down. This is a very important message. Just try to just stay as safe as you can and maybe avoid having to be outside for a little while. These storms are short-lived, so once they move out, maybe an hour max, you may get a little rain on the front end and back end, but at least the more dangerous parts of these storms not lasting that long. This is a one-and-done situation today, not a marathon day. This is not a day where we're going to see multiple rounds of active weather and that we're having to kind of discern in between all of those rounds of storms when we'll be impacted. This is just it. Once the rain moves out, you're done for the rest of the day. So did you notice this as the rain was falling? Look at the intensity of rain increasing. Did you see Bryant-Denny Stadium disappear with that rain? This is the heaviest rainfall moving in. Watch the screen right now. You're going to slowly see the horizon disappear as the rain is moving closer and closer to our sky cam right now. So again, off in the distance, we just saw Bryant-Denny Stadium. Bryant-Denny Stadium completely not visible at this point. That rain is heavy. You can even see the tree line disappearing. That rainfall is really picking up in intensity right now. So monitoring this very closely. In addition to the tornado warning, we're talking about extremely heavy rainfall for parts of central Alabama. And this is a very messy situation. As far as the rain goes, that's what the campus is seeing right now. Incredibly heavy rainfall. And what's pretty amazing to me is we are watching this wall of rain inch itself closer and closer to our camera lens. It's about to reach the camera lens. Did you just see a few of those drops of rain? The visibility has almost gone to zero with how heavy this rainfall is. And I have a hunch that within the next 30 seconds or so, we'll have almost zero visibility from this camera. Look at this. You can even see that the lights on the road there are completely disappearing right before our eyes. That's how heavy this rain is. So we've been able to watch that. I'll move off of this view because now it serves us really no purpose other than to confirm what we're seeing on the radar at this time. So back to the radar, now what we're dealing with. So that was our Storm Team Tower Cam located in Tuscaloosa, right there at the campus. It was facing Bryant-Denny Stadium. So we're seeing that heavy rainfall. Just to give a little perspective how heavy that rain is, what we just witnessed, this area of purple and red that you see there on your map, that's where that very heavy rainfall was moving right through the city, Tuscaloosa over towards Lake Ridge. But the strongest part of the storm sits just to your south, and that's where this rotation is ongoing. I'm growing a little bit more concerned. This V-notch has stayed very well defined over the last several scans. Let me put our shear product on here because our shear rate is showing not overly impressive, but it's there where we see these kind of bright greens on the screen. That would indicate where we're seeing some of those strong winds. But let me put it back on our, I think the most impressive product that we have right now that really kind of shows that is this storm relative velocity. All right, and if you may be seeing two different colors of polygons on your screen, some new a new visual that the National Weather Service has started to issue are these confirmed tornado warnings. So from when the blinking box polygon goes from red to purple, we say it goes from a radar indicated area of rotation to a confirmed tornado, even though that could be done through our what's called a TDS, our tornado debris signature. But right now this is very impressive. This is crossing over Interstate 20 at the intersection of Highway 14 and Interstate 20. If you are in Utah, get to your safe place. GOSA, Oak Village, Stewart, Cypress, Powers, Moundville. Get into your safe place immediately. This storm likely on the ground at this point. I will treat this as though it is a tornado on the ground. If you're in the city of Utah, get to your safest place right now where you are. At this point, you do not have time to leave and get to, say, a storm shelter. So hunker down where you are, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, get to the lowest floor of that building. The most important thing is if you can be in a site-built structure, that is what's really imperative. And if you're downstream of this, again, Oak Village, Stewart, Cypress, Moundville, downstream, if you have time to get to a safe place, if you have time to get to a storm shelter, do so immediately. This storm system is really staying together. This area of rotation here north of Utah, we are definitely seeing the reds and the greens on the map. What this indicates are winds that are moving in and away from the radar. When the red and the green mix together, that's the rotation in the atmosphere. That's where there are competing wind speeds. So the radar is picking up on that right now. And we're really starting to see that green start to dip into that red, which would, to me, indicate that there could be some kind of tightening going on. This is a very well-defined couplet here. Let me go back and look at our debris signature. Now, look at this. We have a very well-defined debris signature. As I mentioned, though, don't focus on the debris as the area where we are seeing the spin in the tornado. The debris is often a little offset from the center of circulation because you have that debris being lofted in the atmosphere. As it spins around, that's what the radar is picking up on. So sometimes that debris is just outside where the tornado is, and oftentimes it may be a scan or two behind. It lags just a little bit because when the tornado hits, as the debris is being lofted, it takes it just a split second to get into the air. So you may be able to understand why A, it's offset, and B, it lags behind. But this is a very important parameter and something that we have to look at and analyze when we're talking about tornadoes. So this does continue to confirm that there is in fact a tornado on the ground. It's becoming maybe slightly contaminated, but it's still holding together. You see these blues right here. This would indicate to me that we're starting to see even more apparent debris. That simply means that the radar beam is intercepting something that shouldn't be there, essentially. The radar's trained to monitor precipitation or just objects, and then based on the reflectivity of that object, it sends information back to the radar. So we get to participate in real-time radar analysis together here on this Thursday morning. All right, let me go back to our storm team. Look at this. This is our velocity product, wind. So just think of it as your wind. I actually, just out of curiosity, I want to see what some of these wind speeds are currently. So we could be looking at, now these are lofted winds, so we could be looking at these winds, 50, 60, 70, 80, close to 80, 90 miles per hour in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But some of that wind, again, with that tornado, it spins down, it pulls that stronger wind down. So we could be seeing winds right now 80 to 90 miles per hour just above Earth's surface. So this is a serious situation. City of Utah along Highway 14 and Interstate 20 moving towards Oak Village and Cypress. We'll send it to Michael in the Weather Center. Michael?
Actually, this same storm did produce confirmed damage in the western part of Sumter County. This being confirmed by the sheriff's office there. A mobile home destroyed in the Mill area. It's in the western part of Sumter County. The same storm producing significant damage. We have a mobile home that's confirmed to be destroyed in Sumter County. We're also tracking this system over the southern part of Sumter County as well. Right now, the eastern part of Mississippi would have a tornado warning, but at this point, the National Weather Service continuing this as a severe thunderstorm warning in the southern part of Sumter County. That does include Livingston. Now, a little bit of good news to share with you. The tornado watch has now been canceled for the western counties just west of I-65. The tornado watch has been canceled within those areas. I believe that's Fayette County. The tornado watch has now been canceled. Still looking at this information as we receive it here. Okay, here we go. The tornado watch canceled for Fayette, Lamar, Marion, and Winston counties. So the tornado watch has been canceled for Fayette, Lamar, Marion, and Winston counties. For the rest of us, the watch running until 1 o'clock this afternoon, but will likely get canceled out before that time. It looks like these southern storms, the most impressive. Certainly, they are producing this significant rotation now. Greene County, the northern part of Hale County. If you live along Highway 69, that takes you out of the southern part of Tuscaloosa County there, just south of 359, heading down 65, Highway 69, coming out of Tuscaloosa County into Hale County, down toward Moundville. You need to be in your safe place. That's the smallest room, lowest floor, away from all windows there. This is the most dangerous part of the storm. This does not involve the city of Tuscaloosa, but it does involve the extreme southern part of Tuscaloosa County, certainly northern Hale County, and the northeast part of Greene County. Utah, you have to remain in your safe place right now. Actually, that's right.
Okay, here we go. Ash. Yeah, I think right here I've got just north of the Utah area there. We're watching here. You can see potentially what we're talking about is right in through here. So tracking on that, again, Akron around 10:09. It's in your area. Stewart around 10:12. Cypress around 10:15. 10:17 in Havana. Moundville around 10:19. If it holds together there toward the Hall. Phillips area around 10:25. 10:26. And Maxwell around 10:27. So still looking at this storm. Again, pretty impressive here. Looking at the latest radar with it. Continuing to show if there is a storm, it's a tornado, likely we're seeing on the Doppler radar, it's going to be wrapped in rain here. So we're not going to be able to see this one. It's not going to be as visible as we would see if it was a normal thing. But you can see right near the Akron area there, possibly there. That's kind of what we're looking at. Let me see if this kind of lines up with where that rotation is at this point. And just kind of south of there. But just north of Utah, about right where that little dot is, that's where we're talking about possible Utah, just to your north of this town of Utah, kind of south of I-20, Highway 11 kind of running in through there as well, too. But again, it's going to be kind of on the leading edge of all this rain. Let me go back over to the Birmingham radar and just kind of look and show you here where the stronger winds are located. Right in through here, this is kind of the area we're talking about where that possible tornado would be located. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit tighter in that location here. So again, Oak Village area, Dara, Gossa area there, Evansville, Akron, Stewart, we're all talking, that is where we're looking at this storm as it continues to kind of work its way through that region there. It's likely this could be the tornado here, kind of just off to the west of Oak Village. I think, Ashley, that's what you were talking about there, crossing right over the river there, kind of just south of Interstate 20, south of Highway 11 there, north of Highway 14, heading right toward Oak Village there and into Dare and Akron. So this is becoming out of Greene County, working its way on in toward Hale County now, is where the storm is going to continue to be here, and that's where some of the strongest rotation is. So we do have right in this area here, this is where we're talking about. That's that rotation south of Knoxville, south of I-20 now. So it crossed over I-20 there, back over to the north there of Utah, and then over crossing over Highway 11. And heading its way toward the Oak Village area, and that's kind of where, that's kind of where we're looking at with respect to where that is. But you got those red and greens right in through here. This is where our strongest circulation is going to be located, and will continue its way toward Oak Village, Stewart, Cypress area, possibly up toward the Mountainville area there. Highway 60 you can see coming on in, Highway 69 there as well. As well too, and that's going to continue working its way there off to the northeast. So that is where our storm is currently located. Possibly there that tornado will be wrapped in that rain not too far away from Oak Village. So if you're watching us from Oak Village area, it's safe place. Dara, Akron, Stewart, Cypress, safe place right now. That's where you need to be as the storm continues to kind of work its way from that location and head its way there off to the northeast. These storms are moving fairly quickly, about 50 miles per hour, and just kind of show you what we're talking about. That is the main storm we have with respect to possibility of a tornado coming there just north of the Utah area and stretching its way to the northeast. If it holds together, kind of clipping parts of Hale County, southern part of Tuscaloosa County, and we'll watch also in Bibb County too. It'll be your area would be next with this if the storm continues on that track there over there to the northeast. So we're continuing to watch these storms here. Going to be active, but we were just talking about, Ashley, this is it. This is all we have.
Yeah.
So when this comes through, that's going to be it. But drastic changes do follow behind this.
Yeah, big temperature changes behind this. Want to point out just a couple of things. So one, we have a very impressive couplet. That's where you have the greens and reds that come together on your map. But our debris signature, a little bit cluttered right now. We're getting a little noise. And one of the reasons for that is because of the distance this storm is away from all of our radars. We're trying to do basically a triple point analysis. We ping pong between all of our closest radars to this site and try to get as much information as we can. But one piece of information that is pretty solid for us and has been consistent is the storm that's now moving towards Oak Village. So you have Warrior Lake over here, and that's going to be moving just north of Highway 60, and then Havana up towards Mountville. So we want folks to really get into their safe place. And this has really crossed over the lake heading towards Highway 69. So if you're between Akron, Cypress, and Mountville. So it's moved east of Utah now. So if you're in Utah, you're safe, you're good. The storm system now moving to the northeast, and it's actually tracking northeast. And it does look like, is this some new information? It looks like this is now, they're calling it another confirmed tornado. So they've extended that. At first, it was a little bit questionable, but now it looks like they're going with a confirmed tornado for this particular storm. Oak Village, Akron. Let me zoom in here so you'll know exactly where you need to be to get to your safe place right now. All right, so we're looking at these areas of green and red on your map. So as I indicate with these pixels, look at these wind speeds, over 100-mile-per-hour winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now again, that's not necessarily on Earth's surface, but if you take that wind, and some of these storms are spinning that wind speed down to Earth's surface, we could have some extreme winds here. These storms right now are moving at about 45 miles per hour, the individual cells here. So we want to give you enough time to get to your safe place. In this storm system, I will say, in fairness, we've had a considerable amount of warn time for this particular storm. So next up, these are going to be the cities of impact for this particular storm system. So as we track this from Oak Village, again, these storms moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So the city of Cypress, 10:17. Time right now is 10:07. You have 10 minutes. Get to your safe place. Again, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Then you have Havana, Ingram, and Phipps. Duncanville at 10:36. So Phipps, here's Phipps on the map. That's going to be at around 10:28. Duncanville, 10:36. Go ahead and get in your safe place. You are in the impact zone right now. Havana, your safe place. The time of arrival will be 10:19. Time right now is 10:07. So everywhere that we've listed on the map, with the exception of Stewart, which we've been talking about, everywhere that I just mentioned should have at least 10 minutes of lead time to get to your safe spot. This is going to be just to the south of Inglewood, but it does include places like Moundville, Cypress, and Havana. Each of these scans, this velocity product, our couplet, is staying together, which to me, that means that this storm system is holding. It's, you know, again, we're treating this as if it is a tornado on the ground. So let's look back here really quick. I want to quickly look at our debris signature to see if there's anything else of note. Now, actually, I think the debris, the blue back here over Oak Village, might actually be part of the debris signature. What you see on the front, I think that's a little noise, okay? So the blue pixels that you see on the front end between Cypress and Akron, I do think that that's a little bit of noise here, but I actually think that the TDS came out. That's the tornado debris signature. I think that's an association with what we're seeing towards Oak Village. So Oak Village, this is your debris signature. That would mean that those debris is being lofted in the atmosphere, and that's what's being picked up on our radar. So again, there were a couple of scans where it was what we call noisy. It's just a kind of a word we use internally to talk about some of these pixels that maybe are erroneous, don't really match what's going on in the atmosphere. But I do actually think that this debris signature right here is the reason for that confirmation. This storm system is now moving just slightly southeast of I-20. If you're on I-20, it's going to be a messy go of things, but the brunt of the storm, where there's the threat for tornadoes, has now moved east of I-20, and that's the section of I-20 southwest of Tuscaloosa. If you're listening to us on the radio, and thank you to our radio partners 95.5 for carrying us live this morning, we want you to be mindful of what's going on the roadways, because this storm system is getting closer to the Birmingham metro, and because of that, we are going to want to make sure that we're monitoring situations closely. All right, let me do just a quick reset here for us. So as we're kind of tracking this storm system, here we go. So let's do this real quick. Let me zoom out here. So what we're looking at currently, a confirmed tornado warning for Hale County. This tornado warning now includes the southeast corner of Tuscaloosa County. So you have northern Hale and southeast Tuscaloosa County. It is just south of I-20 in Tuscaloosa County. And you can see there, we're double boxed now with our Storm Team Tower Cam, and you can see how heavy the rain is falling. But do you remember just a few moments ago when it was impossible to see Bryant-Denny Stadium or even the traffic lights below? That was how intense the rain was falling. And that intensity of rainfall, let me kind of revisit our reflectivity here very quickly because I do want to show you how heavy this rain is. Most of the rainfall right now is just on this leading edge of the storm, but you'll notice this is not a particularly wide section of rain. So keeping that in mind, we're not going to be dealing with this very long. You're actually in the clear in places like Reform, Gordo, Carrollton. You're done. You're done with the wet weather for today. But we've definitely had that heavy rainfall from Cypress to Moundville along this leading edge. And look at this line of heavy rainfall from Brookwood all the way to Bull City. So you might be questioning, wait, there's a tornado warning to our south, but there's all this heavy rain for us. Heavy rain does not always equate to tornadoes. They're not necessarily always tied together. You can have heavy rain without having the tornado, and you can have tornadoes without having the heavy rain. But today, those people that do have tornado warnings will have more rain-wrapped storms. So this is going to be more of a, what we call HP, a higher precipitation type type event just right there close to the tornado. Keep in mind that this storm system does stretch all the way north towards Mulga and then over towards Gardendale. It's now moving into northern parts of Jefferson County. So again, it's picking up speed. We have gotten some messages of some early dismissals. I just want to encourage you to do so safely. At this point, we can't change that, but what we can do is encourage safety. If you need to react to that, meaning if you need to stay in a site-built structure a bit longer, do so, because this particular storm system, because it's moving quickly, it still has the capability of producing tornadoes. And again, confirmed tornadoes on the ground for Hale County. That warning now extends into southeastern Tuscaloosa County. Dave?
That's right, Ashley. That storm we continue to see here on the Doppler radar. This is the debris signature here. Again, that's everything that's the tornado is hitting and then kind of lofting into the air. It's still kind of far from the radar, but nonetheless, though, we are seeing a little more of this kind of show up, giving us a kind of an idea of where it is, and also by looking at the latest here with tracking the tornado warning. Looking currently here over at the, well, if I can get it to work, I guess, there we go, the velocity products. That's where the circulation is here, kind of just near the Cypress area. So if you're watching us in Oak Village, tornadoes not far from you, headed towards Cypress. The Moundville area will continue on its way toward Duncanville, kind of over part of northern Hale County, and eventually on into maybe just kind of right along the Hale County and Tuscaloosa County line here, kind of maybe just missing parts there of Bibb County with this storm. So it's going to be one of these where we're going to watch the storm continue its track there off to the northeast and producing very heavy rain. Again, this is likely a rain-wrapped tornado, so you're not going to be able to see this tornado. Of course, you may be able to hear the roar of the wind with this one here, but really what you're going to be looking at here with the system is, again, potentially some damage. It has a history of producing some damage back into Sumter County, so we do have that, of course, and again, watching that. This is where we're talking. Here's Oak Village, here's Cypress. It's right over top of Cypress, heading right towards your neck of the woods here. So again, this was the snapshot a few minutes ago. The storm's moving at 50 miles per hour, so it's going to continue on that track there to the northeast and kind of giving an idea of what the track is going to be. Stewart at 10:15, Cypress 10:18, against 10:14 right now. Moundville at 10:23. Hull there around 10:29. Phipps rather at 10:30. Duncanville kind of get into your area around 10:36, and then Mertz there to Hagler around 10:39 to 10:43 if it holds together. This has been a long track supercell, meaning it developed way back into Mississippi. We've been tracking it here since during the 8 o'clock hour through the 9 o'clock hour, now into the 10 o'clock hour here, and yeah, we're still watching it. It's right over Stewart right now, so if you're watching us in Stewart, safe place. Lowest level of your home, interior room or closet, bathroom. You do not want to be in mobile homes. Again, rural areas, we do tend to see mobile homes. Just keep that in mind. Get out of that into a safe spot. Go to your county safe shelter, your town safe shelter area, or a friend or family member that has one. You want to be away from that. This is the storm as it continues to move through, and fairly quickly it's moving through the area as well. So we're going to continue watching this one here, but again, we're looking at confirmed tornado showing up on Doppler radar at this point. Has had a history of damage back into Sumter County earlier this morning here, and will continue right through Cypress, right toward the Moundville area. So this is where we're talking, right in through here. This is the area we're talking. That's the possible, the likely, that is the tornado heading through Cypress to Moundville, headed toward Duncanville. So Highway 69, it's going to cross that area next, kind of just north of Havana, and Highway 60 interchange, the intersection there. And as it continues crossing that pretty busy highway there near Moundville, we have the chance there of seeing some damage. We're getting reports of trees down, some buildings damaged as well from this storm as the tornado threat has increased. Yesterday was a low chance. Things kind of changed with the atmosphere, and we had more straight southerly winds overnight into this morning and southwesterly winds aloft, and that allows the thunderstorm to rotate counterclockwise, and that gives us the chance for a better chance for some tornadoes versus if they were just all one direction, then we would just have straight line winds and that would be about it. But that is not the case for us right now. It is the case that we do have these tornadoes. So again, I had one earlier in Winston County, another one here, kind of tracking its way from Sumter County to Greene County, now into Hale County here, right over Cypress. It's right over top of you now, and that is the area we're talking. So this is it. This is it right here in Cypress. We're talking to you in Moundville area. Safe place. Now, lowest level of your home, away from windows. Basement would be preferred with this. This could produce some good damage down there. Only say that because it has done so in the past. We're talking trees down, power lines down, possibly some home damage as well too, if it's lofting that much into the atmosphere. Let me go ahead and switch back over to a Birmingham radar to see what it looks like here. And this is going to be wrapped in rain. So again, the storm right there, about where Cypress is where the tornado would be located now, and continue on that track there as it goes off to the northeast. And looking at the latest rotation with this one here, again, that velocity shows right in that location. That is where the strongest velocity is located. Strong winds we're watching out there as well, too, and that's going to allow us to show you where the tornado is located with debris coming in. A lot of that debris, again, being lofted into the air, but it's sitting right over top of Cypress. So this is where we're talking about, right here. Cypress, need to be in your safe place. This is where the tornado is currently located right now and will continue to kind of make that northeasterly track. It's been persistent. It's been a long track or long-lived supercell way back into Mississippi, and so this is the one we're continuing to watch. Outside of that, fortunately, we don't have anything else here, which is good news. Let me kind of zoom back out here and show you. That's the storm there. There's another tornado warning down near Demopolis right now, so just south of our viewing area. That's one's going to come out of southern Sumter County there and kind of work its way closer to Demopolis, and this one we'll keep an eye on. It could actually, now there is a tornado warning for southern part of Greene and southern part of Hale counties now in effect. So we do have that new tornado warning for a southern storm. This one looking pretty impressive here. Let me zoom into this one, and you can see that is where we're talking about here, coming just now, or just moved over Livingston, so just not too far away from western Alabama, of course, University there, south of Interstate 20, heading its way there off also to that northeasterly direction. Let me go ahead and switch the radar to closer radar to this one, which would be more into Columbus, Mississippi, and that one, again, you can still see here, we're looking at with the radar, and let me go ahead and look at the rotation with this one. And you can see kind of a messy situation there, but you still have some of that rotation showing up from the Livingston area back toward Wartown and Old Bluffport area there. And so we're going to continue seeing this storm kind of working its way at a severe thunderstorm warning, kind of tornado warning now with that one as well, too, as it continues on that motion there to the northeast. And there you see the reds and the greens there. The red is the radar, the winds going outbound, green inbound, counterclockwise circulation right over top of the Livingston over toward the Moortown area. And that is where, Ashley, again, we've been watching this one here. Again, kind of hard to tell, kind of messy with respect to the debris in that location there. But nonetheless, though, we are watching this new tornado warning now to the south. This one does go into effect here until, right now it goes till 11:15, Hale County, southern Greene County. So we have two tornado warnings impacting Greene County now. The other one is just off to the north of us, continues to kind of work its way again off to the north there. Let me zoom out here, kind of lost my perspective with where we are here. But we have two tornado warnings. Confirmed tornado warning, northern part there of Hale County. And this one goes into southern parts or southeastern parts of Tuscaloosa County, and another tornado warning southern part of Greene County and southern part there of Hale County. We do have that. So Greensboro, look out. That storm is headed your way, may track just immediately to the north of Demopolis, and then the other one there kind of working its way through parts there, again, just south of Tuscaloosa. So Tuscaloosa is not going to feel the impacts of this storm, but we are going to continue watching it here as it works its way further over toward Moundville right now and continue on that northeasterly track here south of Inglewood, staying south of Tuscaloosa. So Tuscaloosa, you're fine. Heavy rain as you traveled on Highway 69 there off of 359, working way toward Moundville. Not where you want to be right now. Again, this storm is still looking quite impressive on the radar. We still have that debris signature has been showing up there, and seeing that debris kind of not only here where it's located, but also kind of be lofted and kind of pushed aloft further downwind of this system. So this is what we're going to continue seeing here. Again, pretty rough conditions across part there with a confirmed tornado still. Northern part of Hale County. Again, that warning does go here until this morning. We're still going to be watching that until 10:45. Right now it's 10:21. The northern for northern Greene County, or northern Hale County, I should say, until 10:45. Again, this is the confirmed tornado we've been tracking here with this storm. So south of that is the other storm we've been watching. This one's coming out here further away. This is over toward the Livingston area. And let me show you here what we have with this one. Some of the velocity products kind of showing we do have overall, again, still some rotation showing up there. which this storm is actually quite impressive. It's the farther southern storm, and traditionally those southern storms are the ones that tend to kind of thrive a little better. They have the warm, humid air coming right into them, and that is definitely fuel for those storms. So here's where that other rotation is, kind of just now past Livingston here, just kind of south of Highway 11, south of Bologee, southwest of Bologee. That is where that new rotation is showing, heading on into southern part of Greene County, and then working its way on into southern part of Hale County. So two parts of Hale County, two separate storms, what we're looking at here with respect to having the severe, or rather tornado warnings in effect. Let me go back home here and show you, we have that line coming through Birmingham right now, pretty intense line coming into town. Not severe, which is good, but pretty intense. Gardendale, Fultondale, Adamsville, Mulga, Pleasant Grove, heading back further over toward Oak Grove area, and it kind of eventually heading over toward close to downtown. Lakeview heading over towards, say, Brookwood, Kellerman, Lawsontown, North Johns. That is where we do have this pretty intense band of rain coming in. Heavy rain, likely maybe some small hail mixed in with this as well too, as it continues moving its way closer into the Birmingham area, and that is going to allow us to deal with, again, pretty intense rain coming on in. Not seeing anything concerning right now, but going to watch some of these little, you see these little notches that show up from time to time. We keep an eye on some of those here. They haven't seen much in the way of rotation locally here, but we are going to see some very heavy rain coming into Birmingham at this point. So we're still going to be watching. Fortunately, nothing to worry about significant there, which is good news locally. But get ready, Birmingham. If you're watching us here, we're going to get some heavy rain starting to come into the area here pretty quickly, and that's going to allow us to deal with, again, some pretty intense rain. Fortunately, though, Ashley, it's going to be short-lived as it comes through.
Yes.
And I think we still need to keep a close eye on eastern and southeastern Alabama. They're going to be basking in the warm, humid conditions a little bit longer, so when the storms get there, they may be a little more intense.
Absolutely, and I wanted to point that out too, Dave, because ahead of this line, unlike some of our previous storm system where we have multiple rounds of these storms, oftentimes if you get some preceding rain, it helps to stabilize the atmosphere, reduce our severe weather chances. Not so much the case today. You can see we're kind of wide open as far as the atmosphere goes, so you have the lower level jet that's feeding in all of this warmer Gulf moisture that's kind of just spreading out across East Alabama right now. We have very little to no rain whatsoever from places like Alabaster, Sylacauga up to Talladega. And I want to point out our in-house model continuously yesterday was picking up on this little band of severe weather between Sylacauga and Talladega yesterday near Winterboro, and it was right along Highway 231 and Highway 280. So I think that's a spot to watch today. Anywhere from Talladega down towards Rockford and Coosa County over towards Lineville, there were just these striations of severe weather that just kept popping up. So we don't always get hyper-focused on exactly where those pop up, but we use them as good guidelines, and I think it might have nailed it on this particular storm. So, all right, let's kind of revisit what's going on, because we do have heavy rain. So for those that may not have a tornado warning, you are going to be dealing with some very heavy rainfall right now from Albertville, Cleveland, down towards Royer and Gardendale. Heavy rainfall moving into the Birmingham metro. I do want to point out that a lot of this rain is just rain. It's heavy rain, and it may be a little bit you know, as far as the rain is concerned, maybe the sky is turning a bit ominous, but again, doesn't necessarily mean that the conditions are particularly dangerous. Have been in some communication with some local schools, and the one thing that I want to point out is that we are very much encouraging to limit any type of being outside. So if you did have early dismissals, this is a good time to stay hunkered down inside. This storm is going to pass very quickly because right behind it, nothing. We've got very little to no activity. So places like Aliceville, Carrollton, Reform, you're done for the day. Sullivan, the storm system has passed you. Hamilton, you're free and clear for the rest of the day. All right, let's go back to Birmingham very quickly, and then I want to talk about Bibb County because that was just extended. But the heaviest rainfall in Jeffco in Jefferson County right now, Gardendale, Fultondale, Mulga, Pleasant Grove, and Oak Grove. This is about to be moving into Birmingham. So let's pull up our BJCC tower cam, and actually upstairs, we can double box this, and if we kind of want to spin this to look a little bit more towards the west, we can do that. Feel free to spin the camera at any point, and you can double box me. I'm going to go back to the radar simply because we need to focus on the storm down to our south real quickly. But as you kind of pan the skies there, feel free to pop that Birmingham tower cam up anytime. No big deal. All right, so I do want to point out that this tornado warning has now been extended into northern Bibb County. As we continue monitoring this, I'm going to flip our radar back to our Birmingham radar, get a little bit more clarity. We're getting a little bit closer to our radar site here in Shelby County, so we should have some very good information coming in. Looking at our storm relative velocity, let's zoom in, and again, you have purple, orange, and red blinking boxes on the screen. What does it all mean? Well, the red blinking box is a tornado warning, and that means it is a radar indicated tornado warning. The purple would be a confirmed tornado. Even though we use some of our radar analysis to determine that, we use something called a TDS, tornado debris signature, and that adds that extra layer, and we bump up the color scale from red to purple to indicate the severity. And then we have orange polygons down to our south, severe thunderstorm warnings. All right, so the rotation right now is right in the city of Phipps. This has kind of weakened a little bit in the last scans, but I hesitate using that word. That doesn't mean that it's any less impressive. It's just that we're not seeing the extreme wind field that we did before in that mixing and that really tight couplet where we had those really bright greens and those really bright reds just intermingled with one another. So for now, right over the city of Phipps is where we would have that rotation of this storm. This storm system has now pushed just east of Moundville, so along Highway 69, Moundville, Powers, Cypress. You're good. You're in the clear. But places like Phipps, Hagler, Harmon, Little Hope, Ealine, Scottsville, and Moffett, you need to get to your safe place. This is going to be along Highway 5 and really Highway 6. So Highway 6 carries you from Hagler to Ealine, and then Highway 5 north out of Choctaw Hills in the city of Brent. So if you're anywhere from Moffett to Scottsville, Harmon, Little Hope, go ahead and get to your safe place right now. I'm going to revisit our debris signature really quickly just to see. Again, I like to toggle between our storm team relative velocity and our debris signature just to see if we see anything. May have a dot right over Phipps. I think that could be a corresponding tornado debris signature there in the city of Phipps. So I'm not sure if there's any chatter on the Facebook or on our National Weather Service chat about this, but that does look like we could be getting a little bit of a debris signature right over, what was that? Okay, that's right over County Road 50, and then this is going to be moving towards, right along County Road 50 towards County Road 707, and then you have County Road 726 as well as County Road 738. Again, debris signature not directly associated to where that area of rotation is. This is a little offset for just a little bit. So, all right, so let's put it back on our storm relative velocity here. Still seeing that well-defined couplet. I want to put on our base reflectivity, see if there's anything else. Now, one thing I will say here that's a little bit more apparent than we've seen in the last few scans, remember we had a notching feature before, it was real apparent, but this is starting to bow out a little bit. I think that bowing feature is where we're starting to see a little bit more of that spin. You can actually have a little bit of that inflow on the backside here, and then that bowing feature, you're pushing a lot of this energy forward, so that's the leading edge, so you're going to have some extremely strong winds along that leading edge. You can see these bright purples here in Duncansville, so from Duncansville down towards Phipps, that's where we're seeing, and it looks like maybe they're extending that tornado warning, or actually that might be, is that Jeffco or Shelby? Oh, that's so we do have warnings that are continuing. So this is for northern Bibb. We also have, again, we have the northeast corner currently of Hale County, but this storm system is now moving into Tuscaloosa County at this hour. So we're monitoring that very closely as this storm is moving towards Bibb County, and it is going to be heading towards Shelby County. So I do want to go ahead and kind of give you some advanced warning here that this storm system will be aiming at Shelby and northern Chilton County. No warnings are active there, and actually it's dry as a bone right now from Alabaster down towards Jemison and Clanton, but these storms are quickly approaching the I-65 corridor, so I want folks to really stay vigilant, stay apprised, stay tuned into CBS 42. We're not getting off the air. So we're going to stay here and monitor this continuously. Of course, we have active warnings. That keeps us on air anyways, but as these storms move into our more populated areas in the metro area, we want to make sure that you're safe. All right, this is a really great view from our Birmingham Tower Cam. All right, if you look over here on our double box, all right, that's the storm system that's approaching Birmingham right now. You can see the difference in colors in the sky, that brighter white cloud kind of at the forefront. You see that really dark wall kind of in the back, so the clouds kind of furthest away. But that's a wall of rain that's advancing towards downtown Birmingham. So this is moving into western Jefferson County right now. Again, that's an excellent view from our Birmingham Sky Cam, and you can see that very well-defined base, the cloud base. But this is an example of what it will be like right before the rain gets to you. This is an ominous looking sky, maybe getting some patchy rain, some light drizzle, but that heavy rain has yet to advance to downtown Birmingham. But it's not far. I see a couple of little drops of rain on our camera lens there. Oh, did you see the lightning? Yeah, let's keep it here for a second. It looks like we could see a little bit more lightning. I'm going to put our lightning I'll put our lightning on the radar here in just a second when we go back to it, but we can keep that on that view for just a second because we definitely can see that lightning developing in the background. All right, so here's our storm system. Sometimes I take the lightning off. Look at all of this lightning. We've kind of failed to talk about this too much today. We've really taken our lightning product off of our radar. Oftentimes there's just so much lightning it gets a little bit challenging to see down what the radar is trying to tell us, but I do want to point out where we have more lightning, that often indicates that the storms could be more intense or are intensifying. So we look for lightning, especially around circulations, because look at this cluster of lightning right around where we anticipate that tornado being on the ground. Let me zoom back in here, and we can definitely keep the Birmingham double box up. I think that's a great vantage point. All right, so here's what we have right now. So we've trimmed back the backside of this tornado warning. The red polygon is shrunk back now just a little bit. Still seeing a considerable amount of lightning over Duncanville. This is along Highway 6, so from Duncanville over towards Hagler. We've got a little inflow on the front. We've got this little bowing feature as well, so we're starting to see this energy, the movement of this heading towards Hagler right along Highway 6. Harmon, Little Hope, and Stewart Settlement, please get to your safe place right now. This storm system is packing a punch, extremely strong winds, and we've got some frequent lightning. So not only is it messy in the form of rain, wind, the possibility of a tornado, but we've got some dangerous electricity as well. One of the hardest elements of a thunderstorm to predict. Actually almost impossible. We can say that it's going to happen, but we don't know exactly where that lightning strike will occur. So we want everyone to just be indoors. At a minimum, be inside, but best case scenario is get to your safest place possible, especially if you're in northern Bibb County right now and southeast Tuscaloosa County. Want to show you, let me zoom out, kind of reset, because these are some smaller towns that we may not all be familiar with. So kind of we'll do a quick reset, and I will take the lightning off, but you can just see, kind of reiterating that point here, we just have a line of lightning across central Alabama right now, and that is going to make things even more kind of dangerous, really. And actually, did you see that as soon as I said that, our Birmingham Tower Cam kind of lit up there in the background. So most of the activity is now sitting just south of Interstate 20, and this aligns very well with where I showed you that instability yesterday, and I was projecting where that most unstable air would be. It's called CAPE, Convective Available Potential Energy. It's a super fancy weather word. You don't have to remember it. Just remember CAPE, like a superhero, right? So when we have a lot of that CAPE in the atmosphere, that's that rising motion that sparks these thunderstorms, and you don't need a lot of it in the winter. You don't need as much as you do in the springtime, and so sometimes that's why it's a little easier to get some spin in the atmosphere. The atmosphere just gets just right. So all right, northern Bibb County is where we have that confirmed tornado warning right now. Dave?
All right, Ashley, yeah, there is that tornado. Can't miss it here. This is the debris tracker. It's easy to see where that tornado is located here right now. It will continue just south of Duncanville. There's Highway 6, County Road 751, County Road 707. This is crossing right through there, headed right there to State Route 6 and headed toward Hagler. If you're watching us in Hagler, shelter now. This is that tornado we're continuing to watch here, kind of working its way through their area there. So definitely be aware. This is where that storm continues to track here and will continue moving its way, potentially really over toward the Harmon area, Stewart Settlement, Scottville area back to Moffett, Lucille. There's Highway 5 as well, West Blockton way off in the distance there as well. So we're going to be watching this as it goes eventually into Bibb County, just south of Duncanville right now. This is where the tornado would be. This is the tornado debris signature. We look for this when we're tracking storms. Great tool we have here to give you an idea. This means there's a system, a tornado, lofting debris into the air. This is coming from the Birmingham radar. It's moving closer into the Birmingham region right now, and kind of zooming out, that is where the storm is located here. It will continue on that track across part there of right around the Tuscaloosa, Hale and Bibb County border is where that currently is located, right where the three counties come together there. Briefly kind of clipping far southeastern Tuscaloosa County. And now actually, let me zoom in. It shows even a more significant look at this signature here. You can see a lot more debris being lofted into the air. Again, this is here right at that intersection. We have Tuscaloosa County. It's now just into far, far, far southeast Tuscaloosa County. Tuscaloosa, Northport, you're fine. You're far enough away from the north of this. This is Hagler. This is Highway 82 corridor we're talking about. You know 82. That is where it's located. This is 82, Duncanville, Hagler. Here is our debris signature showing up. We have a confirmed tornado warnings here for this storm. It is moving off there to the northeast and will continue moving at a pretty good clip as it does so as well. Still moving about 45, 50 miles per hour. Going to cross over Highway 82 very shortly here, and then eventually on into Bibb County, northern part of Bibb County. So if you're watching us, Hagler, the Harmon area, Belcher's area there, West Blockton, you need to keep a very close eye on this. Just to the north, you can see there is Vance Coaling. Here's Interstate 20, Highway 11. This is fine. You guys are fine there. Cottondale, Coaling, you're fine. Vance is going to be moving just to your south there, heading toward the Belcher's area, Banks back to Stewart Settlement. Harmon area, again, Hagler is definitely needs to be in their safe place right now. That is where the storm continues to track here. And this is really easy to pick out on radar. Looking at the velocity products, we've seen some really intense velocity right there. Looking at the Doppler radar even showing that it's likely this is rain wrap, but it's going to be here right into this location of the storm. So this is a fairly large storm. You can see here it does have, again, that tornado kind of wrapped inside it there, and that is where we are going to continue to see some strong rotation with this here. Again, just about to cross over, if it hasn't done so already, Highway 82 corridor. Hagler, it's going to be working its way right into your area there. So you can see kind of continues to jump its way closer to you. This is south of I-20. Highway 82 there, a big corridor there coming out of Tuscaloosa. There you see the new update coming in very close to the Hagler area here. And so this is going to be definitely, we'll be watching very closely to see here if this continues to hold together. But you can see that's Highway 82, otherwise State Route 6, Little Hope, Harmon, Stewart Settlement, back over towards, say, Scottsville, Moffett, Lucille, Belchers, all need to be in your safe place here as the storm continues to work its way there, further there off there to the northeast at a pretty good clip at this time. Let me go ahead and zoom in and do a little storm track for you, give you an idea of timing of where this is going to be going. And as it moves there, again, we're still talking about close to 50 miles per hour. Hagler, again, now we are talking about, we're just basically on top of you. Harmon, 1044. Stewart Settlement, we're looking at 1046. Scottsville, Moffett, 1049, 1050. Belchers, Lucille there at 1053. West Blockton, 1055. Remember, right now it's 1039 is our current time, so it's going to continue on that track there and is not weakening at all. Actually, very intense here, showing up on our debris indicator here. Gets to about the Hebron area there about 11 o'clock. If it holds together, could get towards Seymour around 11:02. So that is the track we're looking at here, moving off to the northeast, roughly about 45, 50 miles per hour. So pretty intense storm as it continues to track its way in that location there. It is right over top of Highway 82 there, in that Hagler area there, kind of stays south, just south of Vance, crossing 82 right toward West Blockton. If you're watching us there along Highway 5, definitely you need to be in a safe place immediately. This is the direction this storm is going. It will continue its way out there of kind of far southeastern Tuscaloosa County, and then kind of work its way there on into parts there of Bibb County. It looks like it's back in Bibb County now. We'll continue on that way through that West Blockton area there. So again, the storm is pretty intense, kind of showing you that is where the storm, again, we have that confirmed tornado showing up on Doppler radar. Farther up the line here, Birmingham, we're about to get hit with some pretty good rain, heavy rain right now from Hueytown, Bessemer, McCalla area coming closer to you, heading through Birmingham, Homewood, not yet in Hoover, but soon. Gardendale, Adamsville, Morris area there, Fultondale, heading toward Trussville, Margaret, Springville. You'll see this line continue to move on in, and it continues its way up towards, say, Reese City and Gadsden, although the northern extent of it here not near as intense as the southern part of it is. And there's actually another tornado warning here just north of Demopolis, southern part there of Greene County, heading into southern part of Hale County. This is not a confirmed tornado like we have here with this storm kind of just now into southeastern Tuscaloosa County, going to work its way in northern part of Bibb County. So that is right here. This is where we're talking about, is where the storm's located, heading its way northward there. And again, we'll show you that debris tracker, and you see this little blue dot here? That's where the tornado is. So here's Tuscaloosa County line, Bibb County going to make its way through here north of Brent. Brent, you're okay. You're not going to see this tornado, which is good, but you will see these storms coming in behind it, because we just showed you earlier, all that heavy rain's coming on in. We'll watch the storm there to the south kind of working its way on into parts there kind of north of Demopolis to the Greensboro area. There is a tornado warning for this storm. This storm can, let me switch the radar here to closer one to that area. We are looking at, again, some rotation here, kind of showing it's kind of far away. It's kind of in that spot. It's really hard to get a good view and good picture of what's going on. Let me try here the Birmingham radar and show you what we have here with this one. Again, you have that rotation near Forkland, right between Forkland and Demopolis area there. So right over top of the river is where we're looking at with that storm. Still producing, again, some gusty winds. No report of a tornado or anything with this one yet. Even the debris tracker not showing anything there. But by all means, the big storm we have here is, again, that storm kind of working its way right over Hagler. And this storm actually does not look like it's lifting or kind of giving up any of its energy right now. Actually, I don't think there's anything to stop it in the short term.
Right. It's really reaching that atmosphere that's untapped. We've just been talking about that. Little to no activity along I-65 and east of that this morning. No morning rain, nothing to really dampen the weather, as we say. So, yeah, a lot of untapped energy currently. So we are tracking these tornado warnings, most of them south of I-20 right now. And we do have some activity along I-65 north of Alabaster. It's in the form of some rainfall. I'll show you that on our base reflectivity. So this is showing that rainfall that's moving through. And I'll be honest, this is pretty spot on with our forecast as far as our forecast range window. Maybe an hour or two off that exact pinpoint, but it's within that range. So pretty solid forecast. And as far as the line goes, it's just this one band. That's it. There's not going to be multiple rounds or these pop-up thunderstorms that can be a little bit more precarious, meaning they're a little bit more challenging to predict. So we've got a pretty predictable line here as it's continuing its move. We also have Alex Puckett in our Storm Team Weather Alert Unit. So when he's ready, just let me know. Alex is in the car right now. And Alex, tell us where you are and what you're seeing right now.
Ashley, we're on I-65 in Alabaster at the moment, and the plan here for us is, as that line of storm starts to approach us, we'll just kind of go down I-65 and track it as it moves through. And of course, if we do have some damage, we'll stop and sort of assess that. But still keeping an eye on those storms back off to our west. And again, the plan is I-65 and north-south road, so we can just sort of keep driving south and intercept these storms as they move from northwest to southeast. Here's what things look like right now. We're still waiting on the nasty weather to get to us. We've seen a few raindrops here or there, but again, the roughest weather just west of here. But if you're watching us in Shelby County, you need to know that this is heading your way. Tornado warning all the way up to the county line in Bibb County. So if that were to hold together, the next spots in line would be places like Montevallo, Wilton, Alabaster, Pelham, and Helena. So we're going to watch this storm and sort of let you know how it interacts with the air as it moves into Shelby County. We'll have the view here from the ground here as storms move through Shelby County and probably through Chilton as well, keeping an eye on that storm down to the south in Greene County. That one could end up impacting parts of southern Bibb and Chilton County in the long term. So we'll keep an eye on these storms and let you know what we see here on the ground over the next few minutes and next couple of hours as these storms start to approach us. But for now, we're going to stay right here on 65 and keep an eye on these storms as they approach the interstate. Ashley?
A quick question, Alex. I know the lightning's a little bit probably behind you as you're driving away from the storms, but have you seen any lightning off in the distance, or how does it feel outside right now?
Well, it is definitely it has that severe weather feel, and if you've been around here long enough in Alabama, you know what I'm talking about. It's January. Temperature outside right now is about 70, and you can feel the humidity. And when it's 70 degrees and it feels sticky in January, yeah, you know that we've got the ingredients in place for severe weather. So certainly you can feel that instability in the air on a day like today. And we've certainly noticed that. I have not seen much lightning, but as you mentioned, Ashley, we're kind of driving the opposite direction now to get out ahead of these storms. I will say a little bit earlier, so we've got a storm right now that's moving through Birmingham and starting to approach Homewood as
Oh, looks like we're having some connection issues there with Alex. We'll rejoin him shortly. Again, he's traveling down I-65, kind of away from the main line right now in efforts to kind of intercept these storms that are moving out of Bibb County. So we'll get him to a safe spot, and he can monitor the situation closely. And again, what we're tracking right now, most of the activity has been along and south of Interstate 20. But again, the confirmed tornado warning still for Bibb County. We want to make sure that everyone's getting to their safe place now. Even though this is slightly south of Vance, I do want to zoom in here because this is getting awfully close to that Highway 11 corridor between Coling and Vance. So some significant rainfall developing from Highway 11 up through Interstate 20 from Vance to Academy Park. This is where the Mercedes plant is. That tornado warning sits just to your south at this moment. Let me put on our velocity. This is our wind. This is showing where our winds are kind of spinning up right now. So we want to make sure that we are, making sure that we're getting everybody to a safe place. So kind of zooming out here, looking over Moffett. This is where the area of spin would be, even though the wind field actually looks quite large. So probably getting some very gusty winds. Now we are starting to see this area of rotation broadening out just a bit, but the debris signature is still there. This is our debris signature, again, a bit downstream. With this debris signature, tornado debris signature still in place, we want to make sure that everyone is treating this as if there is a tornado on the ground. Stewart Settlement, this storm is on top of you right now. Same with Moffett. This is moving towards Highway 5, up towards Primitive Ridge, Lucille, West Blockton, Flat Top, Belle Ellen, and over towards Marvel. So really kind of the extent of our map that you can see. If you see your city name on this map, you need to get to your safe place right away. And again, reiterating, there is generally a disconnect between the actual pixel where the debris signature is and the area of rotation. It tends to be downstream or offset from that center of circulation because it's lifting debris in the atmosphere and spinning the atmosphere. All right, so back to our storm relative velocity. So for now, most of that rotation that's happening is between Scottsville and McCully Creek. This is going to be moving across Highway 5. Things are starting to intensify along Highway 5 right now in Bibb County. This is going to be north of the city of Brent, but it does include the city of West Blockton, Shawtown, McCully, downstream of this storm, Belle Ellen, Seymour, and Eddingstown, and Pea Ridge. And Pea Ridge, you're slightly outside of the warning box, but I want to go ahead and get you into a safe place right now because, again, we don't want people scrambling to safety. We want people to comfortably get to their safe place. Even if you have to sit there and just ride it out and nothing happens, I would much rather you be safe than sorry, giving you plenty of time to get you and the ones you care about the most into that safe structure. So whether you're at work, you're at home, even some people at school right now need to be following these tornado warning procedures right now. And again, what is that? Well, just get to the lowest floor of your house. If you have a basement, great. If not, just get to that first floor. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Make sure you're staying away from windows. And if you do have a little severe weather basket with helmet or tennis shoes, go ahead and grab those things because it will be important. These are going to be fast-moving storms, quick-lived. These are not going to be storms that are particularly long-track tornadoes, but they can spin up quickly. We have fortunately had significant warn times on these storms today, so the benefit is that we've been pretty regularly sharing this information since about 8 o'clock this morning. We've been on air nonstop since shortly after 8 a.m. and we'll continue to stay on air bringing you this information about these storms. So hopefully there's no surprises. The hardest part of this forecast is really just pinning down exactly where that spin in the atmosphere is going to occur. All right, let's look here. I want to look at a couple of our radar sites right now just to make sure that we are getting the best information that we can on these particular storms, because again, it's kind of in a little messy area. So we're going to stick with our Birmingham. We can see that heavy rainfall over Banks up towards Academy Park, but again, not really going to be seeing that tornado warning include the Highway 11 corridor. Just a lot of heavy rain right now from Cathy Junction, Academy Park, Vance, Highway 11 where it meets Interstate 20. But that carries you back into western Jefferson County where we're getting a lot of heavy rain. I do want to point out right now that really the severe weather threat is ending west of I-65, or northwest of I-20, I should say, in Jefferson County and west of I-65 as you move out of Birmingham up towards Gardendale. From Gardendale to Morris, your severe weather threat is coming to an end. So Gardendale, Kimberly, Morris, the rain has moved past you. You are in the clear, but the rain is upon you in places like Fultondale, Fairfield, and Birmingham. That heavy rain will continue. Next up will be Trussville down towards Homewood, Hoover, over towards 119, Hoover, Lee Branch, and Highway 280. So just be prepared. The rain is on the way. So places like Oak Mountain, Hoover Schools, it's going to get rainy, but right now the tornado warnings are sitting slightly to our south. And at this point, there's been no extension of the tornado warnings into either Shelby or Chilton counties. Doesn't mean that there won't be. There's some new info. Let me look at the National Weather Service real quick. Looks like it says a trained storm spotter just reported some wind damage there, and that is in Utah. So back in Greene County in the city of Utah, we do have some reports of trees and power lines down along Mesopotamia Street near Robert Brown Middle School. Say it could be a possible tornado, but we'll get some reporter out there to go check on that. Also, some damage reports coming in from both Hale County and Sumter County in the city of Livingston there in Sumter County and Akron. Looks like there is some talks of a tornado warning coming for Marengo County, although that's not necessarily in our viewing area. Just want to point that out as well. Tornado warning now in effect for Marengo County, and these thunderstorms, again, that's just a really, really ripe atmosphere south of I-20 down towards Montgomery from the Tombigbee River through Selma over towards Montgomery and into Tuskegee. I think that's going to be another corridor today for some very active weather. Gets a little less as you move north, but I don't want anyone to really let their guard down with this particular storm system today. All right, let's go back. I want to look at our base reflectivity here. Oops, let's do this. Our velocity products. So what we're looking at here, we're tracking the winds. We're looking for those kind of variations. We look at all these little pixels, and we're looking for these variations in pixels. Brighter greens, brighter reds, darker reds, and where those come together is where we're likely going to see our best chance of seeing some of this activity. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to zoom out because a new mesoscale discussion just came out, and I think they're talking about extending a tornado watch for our southeastern counties. So I want to look at that, and we still